fictitious, and information on the shipping labels was fabricated to avoid detection by CBSA and police. The addresses associated to many of the packages imported to Canada did not exist or were delivered to vacant or unoccupied properties. As a result, the packages were returned to a storage facility in Winnipeg. On September 19, 2022, a mail attended to a storage facility in Winnipeg, which housed some of the rugs in question. These packages were flagged by authorities and the individual was subsequently turned away. Judicial authorization was subsequently granted for the Drug Enforcement Unit to execute a controlled delivery of the rugs containing opium. On September 23, 2022, more rugs were shipped into Canada that contained opium. On this occasion, an address on Sedona Crescent was associated to the rugs. A controlled delivery was subsequently executed with police oversight to a residence at this location. The rugs were received by an individual at this residence and taken into the house. As part of this authorization, a search warrant of the residence was executed and the rugs were retrieved. It should be noted that the individual who attended to pick up the rugs on September 19, 2022 is confirmed to live at the same address. The delivered rugs were seized as a result of the search warrant. As well, 227 grams of black tar heroin and 21 grams of powdered heroin was located within a residence, along with nearly $22,000 in Canadian currency. Arrested from the residence is Harpreet Sandhu, 35 years of age, charged with trafficking a controlled substance ×2, importation of a controlled substance ×2, and proceeds of crime. As well, Gurpreet Mann, 39 years of age, is charged with the same offenses, and Manisha Grul, 26 years, is charged with the same offenses, both individuals living at the same address. Testing of the rugs determined that just under 10 kilograms of opium was located and seized within the rugs, which has an estimated street value of $2 million. In December of 2022, members of the Drug Enforcement Unit continued with Project Poppy, identifying a second opium and heroin drug traffic network operating in the Maples area of Winnipeg. This investigation was approximately 2 months in length and resulted in the execution of 2 search warrants in February at residences in Winnipeg. 7 individuals were arrested and police seized 7 kilograms of heroin or opium with the estimated street value of $1.4 million. Between February 3rd and February 8th of 2023, the Drug Enforcement Unit executed search warrants on 5 safety deposit boxes at financial institutions in Winnipeg, seizing roughly $473,000 in Canadian currency, all of which is believed to be proceeds of crime. As well, an estimated $120,000 in jewelry was seized. In conclusion, I will say the harmful effects of drugs continue to impact many in Manitoba. If you or anyone you know is suffering from addictions, you can call the Addictions Foundation of Manitoba at 1-855-662-6605. Anyone with information regarding gun or drug trafficking is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 204-786-TIPS, or an online submission can be placed at winnipegcrimestoppers.org. I will take questions at the end. First, I'm going to call up the Director of CBSA. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the media and guests. I am pleased to be here today to speak about the role that Canada Border Services Agency played in a significant opium seizure that took place in our Winnipeg Air Commercial operations this fall. Members of the Greater Toronto Area Intelligence Team alerted our Manitoba Intelligence Team when they intercepted a shipment destined to Winnipeg that was consistent with previous shipments of opium. Our Manitoba Intel team worked closely with CBSA Air Commercial Operations here in Winnipeg to successfully intercept that shipment and several others like it. On September 9th, 2022, CBSA officers conducted an examination on the shipment which contained carpets coming from Dubai. Using a variety of detection tools and technology, our officers discovered abnormalities in the shipment of carpets and through further examination confirmed that opium was concealed within the carpets. The total weight of opium concealed within the carpets was later confirmed to be approximately 10 kilograms. The CBSA conducts risk assessment on commercial and courier shipments in order to identify suspicious packages. The vast majority of shipments are processed and authorized to entry to Canada without delay. Based on specific indicators, a small percentage of shipments are selected for CBSA examination using state-of-the-art detection technology to facilitate the examination process. Keeping contraband goods, such as narcotics, out of our communities is a key priority for CBSA. We stay current on global trends and patterns, and our officers are highly trained in examination and investigative techniques to analyze risk and intercept prohibited goods. Our officers employ a wide range of detection technology and tools for assistance, including X-ray and detector dogs. The CBSA is proud to work closely with our domestic and international law enforcement partners to detect and prevent illegal drugs from entering Canada. The CBSA values our strong and respectful working relationship with the Winnipeg Police Service, and we are committed to continued collaboration on cases such as this. I would like to recognize the CBSA officers and WPS officers for their excellent work on this case and for their continued commitment to keeping our communities safe. Thank you.
We'll now take some questions. I would just ask if they are pertaining directly to the drug enforcement part of the investigation. We'll turn them over to Inspector Hall. If it's a CBSA-oriented question, we'll call Jeryn Peters back up. Thank you.
I'm not sure who would be the best to answer this, but I mean, would this be considered a large-scale importation scheme? Like, this isn't small.
If you guys both want to stand up, sorry, I already asked the question.
Yeah, I don't want to speak on behalf of CBSA, but I do think this is quite large. It's an international investigation, quite frankly, involving countries overseas. This is something I know CBSA has been dealing with, and in Winnipeg, we're seeing more heroin now, given the fentanyl crisis we have in the city. So, for a lot of years, you didn't see heroin in the city, but now with the new fentanyl crisis we have, there's much more heroin entering into the city.
And then on the local level, I mean, considering this is an importation scheme, would this be kind of broken down to smaller suppliers down the line?
I would assume so, yeah. Like, I think the individuals receiving this here are the ones who are actively importing it into the country, and then they'll break it down. They'll break down the carpets through a chemical process and then spread it out through the city.
Can you say exactly how the opium was laced in the carpets? Can you describe that?
Well, it's scientific, and it's a bit of a chemical process, but the carpets, you can see them here, they intertwine or weave threads through the carpet that contain the opium. So I'm not sure how they set this up. Maybe the opium's put onto the threads, or the threads are put into opium and it's laced into the carpet. But there's specific threads within a carpet that have the opium. And then there's a chemical process to extract the opium once it enters into Canada. So there's several steps to it, but you can break it down into tar, or you can break it down into a powder form.
Were all the rugs found in the same fashion? Did it all, like all the heroin that was intercepted, the carpets found the same way? Was it brought into Canada the same way?
Yes, yeah.
You might not be able to say at this point, but I mean, do you think there's connections to international organized crime here? I mean, given they're importing internationally.
Yeah, I'm comfortable in saying there is, yes.
Would you consider the group here to be organized crime?
They're definitely organized, and they're criminals, so I'm going to call them organized crime, yeah.
The practice of having these delivered to vacant houses, how common is that for drug research officers?
It's interesting. I'm not sure if this is just mistakes on their end, or if they're testing the waters to see if police or CBSA officials are onto them. So they'll send these to vacant houses. People are intercepting. The packages are returned to facilities. And as you see here, the individual who's involved in actually goes to pick it up after the fact. So they don't want it delivered to the house right away. I think they're trying to test the waters to see if authorities are onto them.
And you said you detected abnormalities. Can you expand a little bit about what kind of things you detected when you found this?
Some of the indicators that were found in the carpets are consistent with indicators that we found in previous shipments that were intercepted in GTA by their intel team as well. So there's different types of indicators that we know are present in previous shipments that we've seen there and elsewhere in the country. I can't comment on the specifics of the indicators that they noticed in GTA because they don't have that information in front of me. But what I can say is that it's not something that was new to us. We have seen it before.
Jeryn, you mentioned that you talked about intercepting some of, was it the carpets that you detected the abnormalities? Can you decipher, so was some of that seized by CBSA before it was delivered to the vacant houses? I'm just trying to understand.
No, so the shipments were all identified in Winnipeg or in GTA, for those previous shipments. And then the mechanism that was used kind of to identify where they were going and who they were going to, we didn't seize the goods here before they were delivered. They were in our control, but they weren't seized. They were used and delivered as part of the investigative process.
So you just let that play out
Yeah.
to allow officers to find out where this was going. That was on purpose.
Yeah.
So this came by commercial air, not.
Yes.
passenger? Yeah. Can you say, how many shipments?
I don't know how many shipments in total, including the ones from GTA. I believe there were 3 shipments in Winnipeg in total that we intercepted related to this event.
So was it commercial air landing in the GTA and then flown again to
Yes.
Winnipeg? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dubai's a pretty arid place. Does CBSA or WPS think this originated there, or was it brought from somewhere else to Dubai and then shipped here?
That I don't know. We know that this shipment that arrived here originated in Dubai. Where it may have come from before that, I can't speculate on.
Question for Inspector Hall, maybe, just to further expand on, do police have any idea, what was going to happen with the heroin once it got here? Would it be distributed across Canada or just locally?
It's a good question. I know, and I put some thought into this. I know in Vancouver they have a heroin issue out there and an opioid issue, and same with the East Coast. So I don't suspect it's coming through Winnipeg and then going east and west. I think this is all meant for Winnipeg. This arrived in Toronto and then came into Winnipeg. So I believe the heroin that's here is meant for Winnipeg, and I think it's likely here because of our fentanyl issue. And so with fentanyl, there's something called purple down. Individuals will use heroin, fentanyl, and then they'll put an accelerant in there. They'll mix it together to get their high. That accelerant could be caffeine or ephedrine. So my belief is that this is all meant for Winnipeg.
What do you think the effect of losing this amount of the drug will mean on the street?
Well, it's interesting, and that's a hard question to answer because this is really the first large seizure of heroin we've had in a long time here. We knew it was here. We heard about Purple Down. We've talked to people in the community who are using it and advocates and people in the health system. So we knew it was here. So this is our first big seizure of it. So it's hard to answer your question. I do think this is a significant seizure. It's a large amount. There's obviously other heroin out there on the streets. We didn't see, there wasn't a response from the community. You would see with the large seizures. So there's obviously other people or other people within this organization bringing it in as well.
You talked about a process to remove it from the carpets. Can you speak to where that's taking place? Was it at the address that was searched for?
I don't know. I don't know where it's taking place, but in looking into this myself, I know if you understand what you're doing and you're familiar with the process, this is something you can do on your own. You could probably do it within your own residence. I don't know if they were doing it at their residence or not. I can't confirm or deny that.
Having said that, would that process be, we all know the dangers and explosive properties that are surrounding certain meth labs. Is this process more benign than that? Or if someone was doing this in their residence, is there still that kind of risk to public outside that?
Yeah, to my knowledge, there isn't a huge risk to people outside of a residence or an area. It's unlike fentanyl, where you can open up a package and people can be affected immediately, or a meth lab that can explode and affect people around. I don't believe, in fact, I'm quite certain this process isn't in that same level or area.
And sorry, you might have answered this, but just to be clear, you believe that all the heroin that was seized was broken down from the rugs here in Winnipeg?
I do, yes.
Yeah. The financial institutions that were hit with warrants, are they at fault here, or is this just there happen to be safe deposit boxes?
No, I'll say for the most part, the financial institutions are very cooperative. everyone had, like, people have safety deposit boxes. They have their own policies on how people put money in there, and I'm not sure how that works. I'm not actually sure if they know what's really going in those safety deposit boxes, because as you know, if you go into a room, the door's closed, you're on your own, you can place what's in there. But so I don't think the institutions aren't at fault. They were very cooperative, and they, again, once we get the authorization, we can work with the banks quite closely, and they're very cooperative. So
Were these properties, I mean, fairly, for lack of a word, nondescript? Were they, or just regular houses on residential streets kind of thing?
so I'm just trying to recall. One was to a property that had a trailer on it with nobody living there. So the individuals couldn't leave the package. They had to bring it back. Another address didn't exist. So you have 132 Smith and then 152 Smith, and that's for 142 Smith. It's not there. So I think it's these addresses are picked on purpose. It's not mistakes. Like, they're testing the waters to see if they're being detected by law enforcement or authorities.
That the packages were just delivered by couriers, or?
I believe that's how you do it. Is that how you do it? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned they went to a storage facility after?
So basically, if the one's there to receive it, it'll go to a storage facility in Winnipeg. It's not your usual storage facility, obviously. This is coming from, this is an international package, so it's just not going to, let's say, Pure Later and sitting there. It's going to an actual storage facility that holds these until somebody comes to claim it. In this situation, I can tell you police were well aware of what was going on, so we had flags on all these packages in case somebody did attend. Somebody did. We were able to identify the vehicle and track the person back through video surveillance. This is well after we identified the house. Once we executed the warrant on the house, we realized that same individual was a part of that residence as well.
And sorry, so that house, again, just regular residential home, or?
It was, yes. Yeah.
Question to the CBSA. You said you'd seen this before. Is it always rugs, or do they use other items to try and smuggle in drugs?
Yeah, various items have been used to conceal all kinds of drugs and other items. So this is just one method that we have seen.
Can you give an example of something else that?
Oh, off the top of my head, I mean, clothing, any like fabric items could be used with this method potentially. Yeah.
And you're scanning for opium and for those types of substances.
Yeah, we're looking for indicators of any kind of contraband concealment. And we have a variety of detection technology that's at our disposal to help with that detection. Yeah.
So they could be contained in clothing, like these threads are very, very thin, like they could be in something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How concerning is it to you to see, Inspector Hall, to see drug traffickers going to these kinds of lengths to import product into the city?
Well, they're getting good at what they do, and it's obviously concerning. They're going to great lengths to conceal what they're doing, obviously. But it's our job as a police agency, and CBSA would agree to be better and to improve and keep on top of these trends. So we're always behind at times as a law enforcement agency, financially and just keeping up with trends, but it's our job to keep up with it. So it's concerning, but it's our job to try and detect it. I do want to add one more thing. I just want to be clear on this because somebody asked a question about the shipment of the rugs to the house. I want to be very clear. We didn't ship anything out on its own. The individual showed up. We knew this might be a package we could ship. The next package came in with an actual address to it. We attached ourselves to that package and delivered it ourselves with our oversight through authorization. No other packages were delivered to houses. I just want to be clear on that. We controlled all the shipments of the heroin and got all of it back, just so you guys are aware.
So do you pose as a delivery person when you do that?
I'm not going to comment on how we do it, but we do tricky things to do it. There's oversight. The package never leaves our site. We know where it is at all times, and once it goes behind a closed door, the warrant's executed fairly quickly.
Any more questions?
Thank you very much.